Okay. We just. Hey,
Zach.
Scott, how are you? Hi.
I'm just going to turn my camera off until the meeting starts at 6:30, okay?
Yeah, 6:30 we start, and actually Albany Police is going to do a quick presentation right at the front end of the meeting, and then we're going to roll over to you, Tina, and Jen. So whatever order. Did you want Tina first, you second, Jen?
And how long do you want me to talk for?
I'd like to keep the presenters to no more than like 20 minutes.
Okay.
So if you want to do less, that's fine. We have basically 4 presentations tonight, so we want to keep it moving along.
Sure.
So
great. Thanks so much.
You bet. And great. Take your time, and we'll get rolling in about 10 minutes. Thanks a lot. There she is. There she is.
How you doing?
Hey, Tina, how are you?
Good.
We're up and running. We should be rolling along pretty soon here. So Scott's on. He just came on. I think Jen should be on pretty soon. As far as order of presentations, we do have Albany Police. They're going to do a quick presentation. Then we can roll it over to you, Scott, and Jen, whoever order you guys want to do it. Sound good?
Yep, that sounds good.
Pretty good.
Oh, it's such a beautiful day out. Oh, I got this light behind me. I wonder if there's anything I could do about that. See what I can do.
Okay. There's a little bit of a glare there, huh? Hey, you can put a big hat on.
It's a halo.
Yeah, like one of those
You can put a hat on.
The Saratoga racetrack hats.
Right.
Hey, Howie.
How you doing, Zach?
Good to see you.
Same here. Nice
You
day.
enjoying the weather?
Yes, it is.
Go for a bike ride?
No, not yet. I've been going for walks.
Now, I mean, you go like long bike rides, right?
Yeah, when I did, I would ride out to, you know where Helderberg Workshop is?
I should. What is that?
Let's see, am I muted?
Hear me?
I said, yeah, I couldn't hear you for what? You know where Helderberg Workshop, you know where Indian Ladder Farms is?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you go out there and like behind Indian Ladder Farms is Helderberg Workshop. And then you can do a little route. So
Well, that's a good distance.
yeah, I haven't worked it up yet. I got to work up my mileage.
Okay, we got Pat Maxon coming on here. Very nice. And thanks for sending me Steve Winter's obituary when it came out. That was
Yeah.
let's see here. Oops, is Pat coming in? Oh, there we go. Okay. There's Glenisa. Mhm. Hi, Pat. Hi, Glenisa.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
Not bad at all.
I'm keeping track of attendance, so
Yes, because I suck at it. I will say.
well, I was, Howie, I was telling Glenisa that when we're back together, we have a clipboard with the sign-in sheet, which makes it a lot easier.
Right.
Well, I don't suck at it. I'm just learning everyone. And
Well-
so Zach knows everybody because he's Zach. So he can really say who's who and where they're from. And I'm like, okay, I know 4 people out of the 20. I'm sorry.
Well, you're new to this and you didn't meet these people in person.
No, you're absolutely right. So
Don't forget there was a day where I walked into a Cana meeting and didn't know anybody. So you just get used to who's attending.
But so Zach, so talk about walk stuff. So, if you go to the start of the rail trail from Pearl Street and you walk up that way through the through the gorge,
yeah,
that's there. And after it's rain, you really have kind of a lot of nice waterfall there. So just a tip.
I didn't mean. I
Oh, hi,
didn't.
Pat.
I
Hi,
didn't.
Pat.
I didn't mean to not be on video. So may I sign out and sign back in?
Oh, sure. Go right ahead. Yep. No problem. Hi, Officer Harrigan.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you, sir?
Good, good. Let me get the video working here. Alrighty then. How's everybody tonight?
Great. Welcome to the meeting. And then we have a Darlene. Hi. Have a cousin.
That's Ralph, right?
Ralph.
Yes, it is. I'm on my wife's Chromebook, and I can't change the name.
That's okay, Ralph. No. At which neighborhood you with?
Mount Hope.
Now. Oh, hi. Welcome.
Yeah, and normally I can't make these meetings because I have scout leader meetings on Wednesdays.
Welcome to the meeting, sir. We're really happy to have you tonight.
I just had something to eat.
Hey, Dan. Oh, okay, we got Officer Webster coming in. Arlene Way.
Good evening, Zach.
How are you, Dan?
I'm just peachy keen.
Hey, that Lincoln Park Alliance meeting was really good the other night.
Oh yeah. I should keep my mouth shut. But other than that, it's yeah, it was it's really good. Yeah, I learned a lot.
Oh, it was my first one, I think. It was good.
Yeah, it looks like the plans evolved really nicely. That's what's really nice. And all the departments are working together. That's really great.
Zach, I apologize, and Howie, who was watching. It turned out to be a very difficult technological solution. I had something pinned over my camera.
Officer Harrigan, we like the other picture better. We don't need you live. You're on mute. You're on mute, Joe. Joe, you're mute.
I said I was scrolling. That had to be Councilman Flynn.
Were you talking to me, Jack?
No, I was talking to Joe.
There's a shadow across my face.
It's gonna be fucking phone, dude.
She had it.
I'm not going in like that.
No, let her. You do it. I had it. Then take the picture.
Okay.
But
Folks, we're just going to get started in just a second. Okay, everybody? You want to just go ahead and mute yourselves, and I'll go back through and just make sure the attendance is taken. Okay, we got a couple more people coming in. Just a second, everybody. Okay, why don't we get started? Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Tonight is our April 7th, 2021 Council of Albany Neighborhood Associations meeting. I'm Zach Simpson, your candidate chair. Thank you for joining us. It was a quick month with our conversation on COVID back in March. I just wanted to start the meeting off. We got a lot to cover tonight. We have Officer Ben Peterson with the Albany Police Department. He had asked for a few minutes at the beginning of the meeting to talk about the T3C3 program. So Officer Peterson, go right ahead when you're ready, sir. I think you're muted. Oh, I think you're muted, sir.
He's not muted. It has to do with the audio, Jack.
What's that?
I don't think he's muted. I think it just has to do with his audio.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I appreciate you fitting me in, Zach. I know you guys have a busy agenda. Myself and Vicari won't take up too much of your time. We just wanted to, we felt this would be the best venue to extend an invitation to any of the neighborhood associations that are interested in having us come in and talking directly at one of their meetings. So basically T3C3, it stands for Time to Talk Cops Community Collaborative. And it's basically just a conversation. We're putting cops and community members in the same room. We're taking away uniforms. We're taking away all those barriers that people find when they try to engage with the community. And we're just having conversations. We pick a monthly topic. We've done community policing, use of force. We're going to do racism and policing for April. And we sit down for an hour and a half, 2 hours and just talk it out. We keep track of what what items we bring up, and if there's something the police department can do different, then we try to address that, and we ask the community to do the same thing. It really is, it's just a different way of having the cops just interact. They want to voice their opinions, they have things to say, and they want to hear what community members have to say. So it's just a new way of looking at things. I have to credit April Bacon, who couldn't be here, but she's the one that came up with this idea and pitched it to Chief Hawkins, and the Albany police officers took it and ran with it. I'm going to toss this to Vicari quick and see if she wants to talk about the community side of it.
Hi all. Yes. So I'm one of the community ambassadors that with T3C3. Basically what we do is like Ben said, is that basically that's the conversations we have. And sometimes the conversations may be a little uncomfortable, but it's good to see the aspect. The officers get to know what the aspect of the community says, and then we get to have that feedback and bring it back to our communities as well. Because a lot of stereotypical stuff in the community, and we can literally say, well, we had these conversations, so understand this point of view too. It's just basically bringing that transparency that needs to happen and making it happening within the community and also with law enforcement. And that's basically what we do. Like I said, we look for different people at every meeting to come in from the community and speak about, their issues or things that they may have or their points of views, and have those community conversations. And, not to get rowdy with it or nothing like that, just to have those conversations and have a better understanding. And that's basically, like Ben made sure he said it all. And that's all I can really say.
So if anyone's interested in having us come and talk at one of their neighborhood association meetings, or they're interested in getting involved and they'd like to attend one of our meetings, you can shoot me an email, bpeterson@albanyny.gov. Dan and Joe are on here. I see they can hook you up with connecting me to you. And we also have an email address, t3c3albany@gmail. If you shoot us a line, we'll get in touch with you and make sure we can get you connected and start the conversation.
That's great.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I'd like to say a couple of things to Officer Peterson. We were always disappointed when our beat officer didn't show up at the Mount Hope neighborhood associations. We thought that was great to have him there. And the other thing is, we still have an ongoing problem, as does the rest of the city, apparently, with the off-road vehicles. I was coming back from Slingerland's today and coming over Whitehall or Southern Boulevard, just west of the through 787, and there was a guy on one of those little two-wheelers right smack in the middle of traffic, no license, no nothing. But yeah, we get them up and down our street all the time. By the time we get to call the police department, they make one or two runs up and down, and then they disappear.
Yep, it's an ongoing issue. It's crazy out there. We are doing our best with them.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, and this is just for informational purposes only. I know that the Common Council recently passed a law upping the reclamation amount, if you guys catch them on the two-wheelers, and how much it's going to cost for them to reclaim those vehicles after fines and what have you. So I think that's definitely a positive step in the right direction. But they're moving. Before it'd be up and down Clinton Avenue, now they're going up and down Orange Street because of the blight that's on Orange Street, not too many residents, so on and so forth. So that's just another place for you guys to take a look at, versus Clinton Avenue and over by the Arbor Hill Park, the ball field, that they're going up and down Orange Street all the time now and not on Clinton Avenue anymore.
One of the problems with Orange Street, and it came up when I was on jury duty, God, back when Christ was a corporal in the Roman army. I'm that old. I didn't want to ride my bicycle up State Street Hill, and Clinton Avenue could be a tough one. But Orange Street is fairly nice, so it's very easy to go up and down.
Okay, so Vakari, good to see you, by the way. Vakari and I have worked together with neighborhood cleanups with my Uptown Neighborhood Cooperative Program, and her program, Community Matters. We have some opportunities coming up this year to help clean up the city. So good to see you, Vakari. And thank you, Officer Peterson. Now, Officer, I think we have Officer Webster, Officer Harrigan. Did you have anything additional to add as far as public safety report?
Dan, I'll defer it to Dan. I'll let Dan go ahead. I don't want to steal his thunder, and then I'll just finish up with the police portion after Dan's done.
Okay, great. Officer Webster?
He's my closer.
I'm your hype man.
Yes. So my name is Dan Webster. I am with the Community Service Unit, one of 3 members. I'm fairly new to the unit. So it's my first time doing one of these meetings. Just a quick update, citywide statistic. We have, our burglaries are way down this year, but people can imagine why. People are home. So that's a good sign. 67% down. The only trend that I see two things are starting to go up a little bit is obviously this time of year, it's warm out. People start hitting the, stealing things from cars. So we can pass around to the neighborhoods to keep valuables out of their cars. I know we've been saying this for years, but that's important because that's a crime of opportunity and there's something there. Somebody who's looking won't hesitate. The other thing that's up really from last month is we had a lot of stolen cars, like 57% up, but that was one person who was actually arrested for stealing 5 different cars. So I think that's an anomaly just from the one guy who was just stealing cars on the reg. I don't know who steals like 5 cars in a month, but this guy did. So that's really all I got at this point. Questions, concerns, or my closer?
Out of curiosity, if one guy is doing all of the auto thefts, are people leaving their keys in the car, or is this guy just good?
No, he's not good. Every one of them was somebody left the keys in the car. Yes. And
Yeah,
that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Dan's right. A lot of times these guys are opportunistic. They'll just go down the street, wait for an open door, and people leave keys in their glove, in the visor. It does happen, a spare key. And the best thing to do to stop and deter this is just tell people. Sometimes common sense isn't so common, but all the neighborhood associations just basically try to inform people, don't leave your purse in the car or a cup of change in the car that's visible. All these things can deter this. And unfortunately, I don't think people realize that if their car is stolen, and when we do the report and we put down spare key was in the glove compartment, their insurance company isn't going to cover them. Once you tell people that, it's amazing how quickly their face turns to, oh my God, and they change. I tell a lot of people this. I say, don't think that you pay insurance and it's the cure all. Insurance company's job is to not pay you, as weird as that sounds. So it might be a little bit of self-preservation for people also, that if your car gets stolen and your insurance company digs and finds out that, well, you left a spare key in the glove box or something, you know, they might not, they probably won't pay out your claim if they trash your car. But with that being said, another hot topic is 2 things. Obviously, I don't want to beat this one to death because it's a very, very riveting topic, and we tend to get a little sidetracked and talk for a while on it. But panhandlers, we are currently working on it, and now that the weather's getting warmer, it is getting, there are more of them out there. And just be aware that it is not illegal within city limits. And as long as they're not being aggressive about it, it is allowed. It's not against the law. There's actually case law that you can ask your fellow man for help. And God knows I'm 1 or 2 bad decisions from being out there with these guys, you know, in my younger days. So I do feel for them. A lot of them do need help. But the problem is that people call us and say, there's a guy panhandling on, give an example, Everett Road 990. You know, unless he's doing something illegal, there's nothing we can do about it. But we are looking at addressing the issue on the mental health side of things. And another issue is that a lot of times with the warmer weather, people tend to go out walking their dogs, do a little more driving, and you notice certain violations on people's yards, such as abandoned cars, unregistered cars, excessive amounts of trash. These things are addressed. My email, and I'll send it out on a message to everybody, is jharrigan@albanyny.gov. By all means, if anybody in the neighborhood associations or anybody has an issue, email me. What we do is we notify codes. Codes will go out, inspect the property, attempt to notify the homeowner of any violations that they have a certain amount of time to do it. Once that is met, especially with the enforceable things like cars, Once that time frame's met, codes will notify Albany Police, and then we go and we will tow the car, or depending on other actions, the person will be cited. But these things do take time. I don't think people are aware that it can take up to 15 days sometimes, depending on the nature of the violation. But these things are being noted and being taken care of. Councilman Flynn, as you know, 720 New Scotland Avenue was an issue, but that has since been rectified, and hopefully that is no longer an issue. But we do follow up on things, but my unit has been slimmed down due to attrition and other things, but we are trying to take care of everything for everybody. And I did see someone note, you will tow a person's personal property off their property. I understand a city street, but on their yes, Glenessa, is it? Yes, that is right. It is against city ordinance to have a unregistered car on your front lawn. I'm sure that you understand, if you have a nice house in a neighborhood and someone has a, lack of a better word, a broken down jalopy, and they decided to park it on their front lawn, and it's an eyesore, I'm sure you wouldn't appreciate that. So what codes does is they try to explain to the person it is a violation of city ordinance, give them time to rectify the situation. Once the time is passed, we the police are authorized to tow that vehicle off their property because they have been given notice. And all these steps have been approved by the Corporation Council, who are basically, that's another word of saying the city's lawyers. It wasn't always like that, but these are steps that are taken to ensure that people's rights are taken into account, and that the steps are done the right way.
Okay. All right. I think we have to move on, but thank you, Officer Harrigan, Officer Webster, and Officer Peterson. Thank you very much. All right, so tonight we have three different presenters. We have Tina Lieberman. She is the chair of the City of Albany Sustainability Advisory Committee. We have Scott Kellogg. He's with the Radix Ecological Center. We also have Jen Benson, and she is with River Keeper. And I believe each of them have presentations. So who would like to go first? Maybe Tina?
I think I'm happy to go first. Yeah.
Okay, Tina, go ahead. Thank you very much.
So, yeah, before I share my screen, while I can see all of you, I was just curious if you could do a show of hands. How many of you are familiar or knew that there was a Sustainability Advisory Committee in the City of Albany? So good. It looks like actually most of you did know. That's reassuring. I appreciate that. All right. So let me share my screen. Guess I can't do both at the same time. Sorry. Okay, you can all see this?
Yes, yep.
Okay, great. All the way there. So yes, we have a Sustainability Advisory Committee. And just to give you some background, and I'm happy to share, who we are, what we're working on, and what information we can give you to help you guys live more sustainably in the city. So the Sustainability Advisory Committee was founded in 2013. And the focus was to help us, to help the city promote sustainability and also prioritize sustainability goals, because there's a lot that happens in the city, and it's hard to keep our sustainability goals in focus. And these are some of the plans that have been put in place that all focused on sustainability. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Albany 2030 plan, which has a climate action plan. There's also the Mayor's Office of Energy and Sustainability. Get you guys out of the way. Also, we are a climate smart community, and part of being a climate smart community means you have to have some kind of a participatory citizen, with citizen participation, some kind of an advisory committee for sustainability. And then there's the 5 cities energy plans, Rezone Albany, all these plans. And, they need to, it's important to pay attention to them so that some of the goals get done. So the Sustainability Advisory Committee, it's a public city partnership, right? Here's a snapshot of what it is. We have 15 members altogether. 10 are appointed city residents. Half of those are appointed by the mayor, half are appointed by the Common Council. And we have 5 city officials or commissioners. We work with is this blocked? Can you guys see that? I don't know what, move this, okay. So we work with the Mayor's Office of Energy and Sustainability and the Energy Manager. For many years, we did not have an energy manager. We just got one last year, right around this time, Jason West. And it's been wonderful to have someone who works with the administration who's focused on sustainability. And we have 7 subcommittees which are open to the public. And we would love more members because there's so much to be done. And you don't even have to be a resident of Albany to join. You do have to be a resident of Albany to be on the Sustainability Advisory Committee, though. So here are 7 subcommittees. We have transportation, energy, water, environmental equity, which is new, urban agriculture, which Scott Kellogg, who's going to be presenting today, is chair of, zero waste education, which I'm chair of, and community outreach. Our meetings are on the first Thursday of every month. We have started meeting monthly now because there is so much to be done. And they're live streamed on the Sustainable Albany Facebook page. And we invite you to submit your comments too. We have an email address, sac@albanyny.gov. So just to let you know, here are some of our duties. So we're supposed to study and recommend ways for the city to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, increase energy efficiency and the renewable energy that's being used by the city and by residents and businesses, conserving water, reducing waste, encouraging green businesses and green jobs, and educating and empowering our residents with information about how they can live more sustainably. And we are an advisory body only. We don't have any, legal powers per se. We make recommendations to the mayor and common council. And we are assisting with, implementation and awareness of all the different sustainability plans that the city has adopted in the past. And we're very excited. The city of Albany has a new website, and we got a very nice page on there for the Mayor's Office of Energy and Sustainability. And we also have our Sustainability Advisory Committee page. So when you go to our page, you will see that we have an invitation there, and that this is pretty new. We just put this up. If you're concerned about climate change or you want to create a more sustainable, healthy, resilient community, we have a form that you can fill out where you can indicate an interest in joining one of our 7 subcommittees. And also on that same form, oops, go back there. Also on that same form, you can check off topics that you're interested in getting information about. And we're working out a chain so that we can get someone back to you with information that you want and referrals. So we can give you information. I'm going to be giving you some information tonight about energy efficiency subsidy programs, ways to save money and weatherize your home, make it more energy efficient. Electrification, which basically means what are the current discount programs for switching your home heating onto heat pumps, electric heat pumps, and heat pump water heaters. And that's part of the Heat Smart Capital Region program. And then how do you start using electricity that's renewably sourced. So one of the ways is community solar. Of course, you can get your own solar panels too, but community solar actually saves you money and you don't need to buy panels. So it's a good choice. There's also community choice aggregation. That's another way of giving the residents renewable energy at a good price. And that's for small businesses as well. There's composting in Albany, recycling in Albany, and the program of 2025 trees planted by 2025. So those are some of the things I'll just quickly review tonight. So what's our focus? Well, we start by looking at the data. We want to be data-driven in what we do because sustainability means a lot of things. And so, and we're only 10 volunteers and 5 commissioners, and we really need to stay focused on what's most important. So when Jason started, one of the first things he did as energy manager was give us an updated greenhouse gas emissions inventory. The idea is, where are we producing greenhouse gases? Let's see where our sectors are that are producing the most, and let's start there by addressing the sectors that are producing the most. Let's learn about our city, because really it all comes down to reducing greenhouse gas emissions now, because we're in a race against time. And basically, if we don't do something now, we're going to lose the climate, the stability of the climate that has allowed us to allowed humans to have civilization as we know it. So what we learned was we produce in the city of Albany, within the city limits, just over 1 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions. That's 12.1 tons per person. 41%, the greatest amount, is from natural gas use, which is used mostly for home heating and water heating, and not just home, but commercial as well. The second largest sector is from transportation, which is mostly the tailpipe emissions from cars. And that's right down here. 12%, the next largest sector, is from electricity use, that most of our electricity is not renewably sourced right now. And 10% is landfill and miscellaneous, and that's up here in the red. The city of Albany in its sustainability plan did have a pretty aggressive goal for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And as it so happens, New York State passed a law last year which enforces the reduction of greenhouse gases across our energy sector and across all sectors: transportation, energy, waste, all of it. So the new state law mandates a 40% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions from 1990 levels by 2030. Again, very aggressive. So that is what we're aiming for. I mean, we're looking at how do we reduce our greenhouse gas emissions as quickly as possible. And that will turn into, by state law, the target is 85% reduction by 2050. Plus, the New York State is also requiring that our electricity move toward being sourced from renewables, 70% by 2030 and 100% by 2040. And it's also good to know that a large percentage of the money raised through the CLCPA, the funding, will go toward disadvantaged communities who've historically borne the brunt of all of the pollution and emissions, and are most likely to suffer from the effects of climate change and be the least able to couch it with money and protection. You know. So because heating is, and the use of gas for heating is the largest sector of greenhouse gas emissions, that's where we start. And so our focus and one of our campaigns this year is going to be to give you information about how you can make your home more energy efficient, weatherize your home, and what the programs are that help you do that. And they're very good, and they really make it affordable. So we would tell everyone to go to heatsmartcapitalregion.com, which has been set up by funding through NYSERDA, the New York State Energy and Research Development Authority. And you go there and look at the incentives tab. and then go down and you look at energy efficiency incentives. And the first thing you're going to see is that we're all entitled to a free energy audit from NYSERDA to see what's needed in your home or in your rental unit. And then I also wanted to point out, if you keep looking there, that there are two programs to help you weatherize your home. They're both income. There's income eligibility for both. There's the Empower program down here, which is if you're 60% of median income or lower, then you can get 100% of the cost covered up to $8,000, which I believe right now is actually $10,000. And if you are, and then there's the Assisted Home Performance Program, which would get you 50% of costs covered up to $4,000, which right now I believe is $5,000. And until June 1st, it used to be you had to earn 80% or less of area median income to qualify, but now it's 120%. So for a family of one or two, you're looking at, you qualify if you earn $75,525 or less. And that includes most of the people in Albany. So you could get half of your work done, up to $5,000, most of you. And there's also low income loans, and those are easier to get now too. There's this geo eligibility tool. You click on it, it's a map. If your address falls within a geo eligible zone, you automatically qualify for a low income loan for the rest, a low interest loan for the rest. So back on that same website, the other thing that we can do is electrify. So electrification means that if your furnace, if your gas furnace is going to be ending its useful life soon, or your water heater, then what we're encouraging you to do is to find out about the options for moving to electric powered appliances like this, because we can source our electricity renewably. And that's a great way to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So for example, here, you would go to, these are air source heat pump incentives. There's ground source heat pump incentives, that's for heating and cooling your home. And heat pump hot water heater incentives, they're all there. And you can see what National Grid is giving. And the nice thing about Heat Smart Capital Region is they have pre-vetted installers for you to contact. So do the energy audit first, make your home as energy efficient as possible. And then when the time comes, please look at electrification, electric options for your home heating needs. And then there's, well, how do you make your energy more renewable? So one of the ways that we're suggesting, if you certainly could put solar panels on your roof, if you own your home and you have that money to invest, it will pay for itself eventually. But there's community solar, which will save you 10%. It's a 10% credit on your bill right off the bat. And right now there are two separate bills. You would get, because it's not consolidated billing yet, but the Public Service Commission and NYSERDA are working on that. So eventually everything would be on your National Grid. So right now you get one bill from National Grid and one bill with the discount applied from the community solar provider. And here's how you can find out about community solar providers: solarizealbany.org and New York Sun. And these are the ones that are listed on New York Sun that serve National Grid territory. Then there's Solar for All, which is if you're income eligible, you can save up to $180 per year on your electricity, and you're automatically enrolled in community solar. Right now there's a waiting list for National Grid for that, but you can get on the waiting list. Community solar also limited availability. So if you're interested, sign up sooner rather than later. And the last thing is community choice aggregation. And that's a program where the city is going to basically bulk purchase renewable electricity for all residents. And you can opt out of that if you don't want it. But for people who have signed on through energy supply companies, this is by far going to be your cheaper alternative, and hopefully would be about on par with National Grid or less. And you can also combine that with your 10% community solar discount. Then the other thing that we're looking at, because transportation also came up as a sector, it's the second largest greenhouse gas emission sector. So we're looking at encouraging the use of electric vehicles and certainly bicycling and pedestrian. So we are investing in new EV charging stations in the city. I don't know the locations yet, but I believe they're all downtown. And the Albany Public Library will also, 3 branches will also have EV chargers. The Albany Water Department has indicated they'll be purchasing some electric vehicles. So we are starting to see some greening of the fleet for the city. And we do have the bicycle and pedestrian master plan, which has a lot of really wonderful, also aggressive goals for making this a much more bicycle friendly city, even having some protected bicycle lanes, better walking options and sidewalks and bus lines. And just about EVs, this is an event that's coming up. So if you're interested in what it's like to have an electric vehicle in the capital region, or you already have one, and you want to hear what other EV users are saying about life in the capital region here with an electric vehicle, this is a great panelist discussion and forum. It'll be coming up Tuesday, April 20th. And basically you'll hear from EV owners about the joys and the challenges of owning an electric vehicle. And you're going to be hearing from all of these different cities in the area what they're doing to improve life and build infrastructure for electric vehicle owners. So that would include our own energy manager, Jason West. We have Heather from Schenectady, Jacob from Capital District Transportation Corporation. We have Lucas Rogers from the Albany County Exec's Office. And we have Howard, we have from Troy, I leave off the person from Troy. We also have planner from Troy, and Howard Kibrick, who's part of the neighborhood association, will be the moderator. And you would register here, and we'll figure, I'm sure I'll give Zach some of this information to send around.
I'd be happy to, Right.
And the other sector, if you noticed, was that is producing greenhouse gas emissions is waste. And one of our jobs is to also help reduce waste. And this is very important. I don't know if people realize, but when your food scraps go into a landfill, they produce methane because it's a non-oxygen environment. And that's the chemical when the bacteria try to break down food, and without oxygen, it produces methane. Methane is a very potent greenhouse gas that traps heat, about 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide in trapping heat for the first 20 years. So that's pretty critical that we keep our food scraps out of the landfill. There's also more reasons, because food scraps don't belong in landfills, and I'm sure Scott will talk about this, because they have the nutrients, and if we compost them, if we use them, we can build up depleted city soil and use them to grow food in our community gardens. So we definitely don't want to waste, put our food scraps into the landfill. So we are offering so the Sustainability Advisory Committee and the Zero Waste Education Subcommittee, we're offering a 20-minute presentation to your organizations, to neighborhood associations, churches, Elks Clubs, whoever wants it, where we'll talk about some of these issues, because the average family wastes about $1,500 a year in food, food that just ends up rotting and going into a garbage pail. So we can talk to you more about how to reduce wasted food when you're shopping, when you're storing the food in your refrigerator. We'll also talk about how you can donate edible food. We certainly encourage donating what's edible before you let it rot and have to take it to the next level. We encourage you to donate to pantries, shelters. We've got the free food fridges in Albany. I don't know if you've heard about those, but they're popping up all over. There's one on Lark Street. There's one on Warren Street, I believe. And we also have 3 options for composting food scraps in the city. So the first one is certainly backyard composting, or in your home. Some people do vermicomposting with worms, or bokashi, which is a fermentation process. There's also 3 free community compost drop-off sites now. If you don't feel like messing around with backyard composting, you have 3 options, and we'll look at them in a minute, for just dropping off your food waste 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whatever's convenient for you. And then we have paid pickup options. We have 2 paid pickup options that are very convenient and serve in the city of Albany. So here are our 3 community compost drop-off sites, and there's a picture of me with my compost bucket. So one is Friends of Tivoli Lake Preserve and Farm, the Wilkins Avenue entrance. The Radix Center, which Scott will be talking about. He's got a bin right outside on Warren Street, again, 24/7. The rules are fruit and vegetable scraps, coffee grounds, eggshells, all those things are good. No meat, no dairy, no fish, no plastics, not even plastic labels and tags. And then the Albany Victory Gardens, which is in the West Hill neighborhood. Those are all places you can go anytime in the day or night and drop off your food scraps. And we really appreciate it because all of those places have community gardens and they turn your food scraps into soil. And a really rich soil amendment. So, and these are our 2 paid pickup services for food scraps. So Radix runs one, and I'm sure Scott will talk about that, with an e-bike, an electric bike that comes and picks up your food waste, your food scraps. They provide a 2.5 gallon container with a filter for odor. And you can sign on, and it's well, I think Scott will tell you they pick up once a week. And I think it's very reasonable. I think it's $15 a month. And then there's Food Scraps 360. And they will pick up in Albany, Schenectady, and Rensselaer counties. And they pick up every other week. And they also give you a bucket and a pail. So we also recycle, and we also do a few other things. So there are a few other programs I wanted to highlight for you. So I think some of you have met Fill the Bin and Less Waste, our new mascots for reducing waste from the Department of General Services. So we do want to encourage you to recycle more and not throw it in the landfill. We all do poorly when that landfill fills up, right? I mean, we want to keep it open for as long as possible because unfortunately the way the system works right now, those who produce the waste, like the single-use plastics industry and all that, they don't pay for the disposal part. We do. It goes to the taxpayer in the city. So recycle as much as you can. Cans, glass, cardboard, paper, plastics, especially numbers 1 and 2 plastics. We know they have a market. And also refuse single-use plastics. So the idea is don't just recycle. We can't recycle our way out of this waste problem. You're going to also have to reduce and refuse to take single-use plastics whenever possible. And here's an example right here. We've got less waste over here telling you don't, bring your reusable bags to the store and never take plastic bags if you can help it. And we also have our hazardous waste drop-off days are back. We have 9 of those throughout the year. You do have to register at albanyrecycles.com for those. And we have 2 paper shredding and book recycling days coming up, April 29th and October 2nd. And you'll find more information on albanyrecycles.com. They've also revamped their website. It's really nice looking, easy to negotiate. And we also have an urban reforestation process. We've lost a lot of our trees due to the elm disease. And also it's very important in a city with climate change happening and warming happening that we make sure that we keep a lot of shade in our cities so that we don't, just really overheat. Cities tend to do that when there's a lot of paved space, but trees really help with cooling. So please consider being part of adopting a tree. The city pays for half. It's about $150 to get a tree planted on your lawn, and there's a beautiful selection, and the city pays for the other $150. And you can also make a donation if you want to just help. There's like a scholarship program to help families get trees. And just quickly, some upcoming events, and I'm almost done. Thank you all for your patience. So Scott will talk more. Saturday, April 24th, right after Earth Day, is the South End Earth Day and community cleanup. And then we have a wonderful conference called the Sustainable Futures Conference coming up that has a lot of wonderful local speakers as keynotes, as well as some international ones about making cities more sustainable. Highly recommend it. It's only $20 for all 4 days. Whatever you can attend, I think you will get something out of. Mayor Sheehan, I believe, is doing one of the welcome messages, but several of us from the Sustainability Committee are also doing breakout sessions. Jen is going to talk about the Riverkeeper Sweep, which is coming up on Saturday, May 1st. And our group, the Sustainability Committee, which we also call Sustainable Albany, will be doing a cleanup at Tivoli Park, which if you haven't seen it lately, there's a wonderful daylighting project of the Patroon Creek that happened there. They revealed the Patroon Creek, and it's absolutely fabulous walk. And we also have New York State Compost Awareness Week coming up, May 2nd through 8th. And we're looking at hosting a panel discussion of the film Kiss the Ground, which is really a remarkable film about how the earth itself and regenerative farming and agriculture can help us with climate change. And there is a intro, if you want to learn about composting, there's going to be a wonderful introductory talk by Jean Bonatal from Cornell Waste Management. And you would contact Zero Waste Columbia for that information. That's Thursday, May 6th. And coming up Thursday, May 13th at 6:30, we're also going to be looking at, we're discussing the movie, The Story of Plastics. So you would get a free link to watch the movie, and then we'd all come together for a discussion.
Did you have another slide, Tina? I'm sorry.
I think I just had one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yep, this is just the information, where to get more information.
Sorry
You
about
can
that.
find us on,
You
no
just gotta
problem.
you gotta share your screen again. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. You know,
Got a tricky. I got a trigger figure, I guess. Sorry about that.
guess you're ready. You're ready for Q&A. Okay, hold on. Just resuscitate this. Bring this back up for you. Go to present. All right, just last things. You can find us on email, Facebook, webpage, and just wanted to let you know we're going to be at 3 local farmers markets this season with a table. We'll be at the Western Avenue one at least every other week at this point because they have limited space. We'll be at the Delaware Avenue Market Weekly and the South End Night Market Weekly. And that's it. Any questions?
Okay. So Tina, I'm going to hold the questions till the end of the 3 presenters, and then we can take them one at a time. There's some in the chat, but we can go through them once we get through everybody. Let's go on to Scott Kellogg at the Radix Center. Thank you, Tina. And if you want to give me that information, I can send it out to our listserv.
I will. I can send you the whole PowerPoint.
You bet. And I'll share it with everybody. All right, Scott. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Go right ahead, sir.
Okay, thanks so much. Everybody hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. Great. Let's attempt a screen share. Okay, everybody see that okay? My screen? Yep.
Yep, Scott, we're good.
All right, excellent. So, hi, everybody. My name is Scott Kellogg. I am the educational director at the Radix, RADIX Ecological Sustainability Center. We are a nonprofit organization in the south end of Albany, creating a demonstration site of sustainable tools and technologies that are designed to teach primarily urban residents with a special focus on youth how to have greater local access and control over essential resources such as food and water and waste management and energy production, and focusing a lot on teaching ecological literacy to area youth as well as environmental justice advocacy more broadly in the South End as a whole. So we have a number of different programs in addition to keeping our 1 acre farm, which features what you see right here, which is our 20-foot by solar, 60-foot solar greenhouse that allows us to maintain living plants and systems throughout the year. We also have micro livestock, which is a fancy word for chickens and ducks, rainwater collection systems, composting, renewable energy systems, a ton of gardens, honeybees, whole variety of ecological systems that allow us and other residents to, again, have greater control and agency over primarily food production, but linking that to bigger issues of social justice as well as climate change and climate justice. We run an after-school youth program that goes on throughout the year for high school students who come in from 4 to 7, 5 days a week, and are helping to run systems on the farm, in addition to doing a lot of environmental justice education, learning about challenges and solutions in their surrounding communities. We have programs for younger students, elementary age students that we're really hopeful are going to be coming back online very shortly. We've had to pause a lot of them during the pandemic, but as hopefully we are nearing the end of this, or at least an end, schools are feeling anxious and more emboldened to once again be resuming field trips and in-person experiential education. So we hope to again soon be having students returning to Radix, and we have a new classroom space that is nearly completed construction that will be there waiting for them. So we're very excited about that. We work within the surrounding neighborhood in a number of ways. We partner very closely with A Village. If you're not familiar with them, they're another community-based organization in the South End that does environmental justice and social justice advocacy work more broadly, has been very active around the Innovation Blocks project and the Ezra Prentice Home. So they're big partners of ours. We co-sponsored the South End Night Market, which is going to be resuming at the end of April, which is a venue for primarily Black vendors in the South End to be starting businesses and to be promoting entrepreneurialism in their community. So we're excited to be lending support for that. We do a lot of work in a number of different garden sites throughout the local neighborhood. Really, there are probably about 6 or 7 other gardens in the South End that we don't own, but we really help to steward. And the goal there is really to connect neighbors to those sites and help them out with whatever it is they need access to, whether that is information or soil or seeds or just secured access to the space. So doing a lot of work on that and really in trying to promote food justice, which is distinct from food security, which you may have heard of before. I mean, the South End, as well as in a lot of other neighborhoods in Albany, qualify as what we call food desert neighborhoods, where there is a relative abundance of liquor stores and corner stores, but not much in the way of fresh and nutritious food. We are fortunate to have a Price Chopper downtown. If you go to Troy, they're far worse off, where there is no centrally located supermarket. And if you don't have a car, it's extremely difficult to get groceries. However, still, food ideally is even more localized that. And this is a complex and wicked problem for which no single intervention is going to be adequate in solving. However, it's going to take a lot of people, a lot of organizations working with both market and non-market approaches to solve. This is going to include everything from, the possibility of creating a cooperatively run supermarket in the South End, which many people are having conversation about, in addition to bolstering the existing work of food pantries, to farmers markets, to community gardens. It really needs to happen on every level. The important aspect of food justice, as opposed to just food security, is making sure that local residents in food desert communities in particular have control, have agency over the process of food production. It's not just about making sure there's enough food to eat, but asking questions about who has access to food and where it's being grown and what are the conditions that people are facing while they're growing food. These deeper questions that are really looking at the broader issues of justice and equity and access and fairness as they pertain to the food system are some of the questions that are particularly interesting to us. So ecological literacy programs for youth, food justice advocacy, environmental justice advocacy in the neighborhood as a whole. We live very close to the Port of Albany, which is sort of a textbook instance of environmental justice abuses where you have historically low-income and communities of color living in close proximity to polluting industries and bearing a disproportionate burden to the exposure of these sources of pollution. So a lot of environmental justice work is merely drawing attention to these existing disparities and trying to advocate with and on behalf of those affected communities, with their needs really being centered and taking leadership from them. A big component of this work also is advocating for what we call just sustainabilities, which, in addition to looking at these issues through an environmental justice framework, also asks how we can advocate for the equitable distribution of environmental goods and amenities, right? The good stuff, things like gardens, public transportation, parks. How can we make sure everybody has those and that they're not just amenities for the wealthy residents of the city, right? Everybody should have access to those. And it should be done in a way where it doesn't result in an increase in property values that's going to displace long-term residents either. So these are really some of the important issues we like to keep at the forefront of our work. We're very excited this summer. We're going to be engaging in a number of programs with our summer youth employment program. Our after-school youth program turns into a 5-week summer program that we do through the city's LIGHT program, where high school students will come 4 days a week, helping with the farm, doing environmental justice advocacy work. This overlaps also with an AmeriCorps program that we do in conjunction with Siena College's SPIN program, where we have typically college-age students also working throughout doing service-based and community-based participatory research in the South End neighborhood that is led by and informed by the needs of the residents. So, got a couple minutes here. I'm just going to take you on sort of a quick lightning round tour of some of the systems at Radix. I'm going to jump ahead through some of these topics that we've already discussed. This is the inside of our solar greenhouse that contains an aquaponics system, which is a way to raise fish and plants together in an integrated closed loop system where the wastes produced by fish become the nutrient inputs for plants that are also growing in the system, in this case, watercress. The plants in turn purify the water from the fish and are growing in essentially a liquid soup of nutrients and grow very quickly. And that is a product that we include in our farm share in our community supported agriculture program. Inside the greenhouse, we're able to maintain warm conditions throughout the year. You can come there in a day in the middle of the winter. If the sun is shining, it'll be 70, 80 degrees in there, which is really fantastic and also great as an educational tool. As our growing season is more or less the inverse of school year, there are more limited opportunities for local students to learn about living systems in the winter months. So we are excited to be able to offer that to them. Some photographs of students engaging. Composting systems. Tina mentioned quite a bit about composting, and also thank you, Tina, for everything. Like Tina mentioned, yeah, I am also the chair of the Sustainability Advisory Committee's Urban Agriculture Committee and work pretty closely with Tina on the Zero Waste Advisory or Education Committee as well. Doing a lot of exciting things happening in that area and more exciting announcements to come in the next couple months. But really trying to make sure that composting is something that is accessible to all the city's residents once again. And, you know, we're aware that most urban residents are going to have a 1 acre farm and a 20-foot by 60-foot solar greenhouse. So we put a lot of emphasis on teaching about how the systems within there can be scaled down to a level that's appropriate for the space that most people have access to, which for many people in the city may just be an apartment or maybe a classroom. So one example of this is what you see here in the photograph. This is students at Giffen Elementary, where we do a lot of educational programming, setting up a worm bin, which is really just a 10-gallon plastic bin that can be kept under a sink on top of a refrigerator that contains worms that will eat your food scraps from your house. If you're doing this correctly, it won't smell. This is a great micro scale system that anybody could have, and is a great way to get started with composting. And if you get really excited about it, you can scale it up and start stacking these bins on top of one another and be processing an even greater amount of your food scraps. And I just want to also piggyback on a lot of what Tina was talking about, the issue of food waste, right? That let's look at it through the lens of food security and food justice, right? That when we're looking at urban soils, we're looking at barriers to food production in cities. Access to land is a big issue, and there's some great initiatives being done with that on the city level. There was actually a new Mow to Own program, which is really exciting, where if you are an Albany resident, you can petition the land bank to give you one of their land bank parcels if you maintain it for a year free of code violations. It can be given to you, and then they will give you $1,000 on top of that to do something with it, like create a community garden or a composting site or a green space or a community space. So really interesting new program. However, you know, other barriers to food production, I mean, soil is a huge one. The fact that urban soils tend to be non-existent or degraded or contaminated. The remedy to any of those problems is right at our fingertips in the form of the enormous quantities of food waste that are getting thrown away every day. And like Tina mentioned, going into the Wrap Road landfill where they're breaking down anaerobically and turning into methane, which is a significant driver of climate change. What we need to be doing, and it's so simple, is to be intercepting those food wastes, composting them aerobically on the surface of the earth, where they're only turning into carbon dioxide and into rich soils that we can be using to build soils where they don't exist. And by that, I mean, they've been paved over. We have a lot of soils in the city that have been ripping that asphalt and laying down compost on top of it is a very important thing to be doing, and slowly regenerating the health of those soils. When they've been compacted and starved of oxygen and moisture and life, compost can actually revitalize them, inoculate the microbial life once again. And when they've been contaminated, as not always, but sometimes they are, particularly by lead, a ubiquitous urban contaminant, mostly coming from lead-based house paint. Compost can act in ways to effectively seal that lead-based soil, prevent it from becoming dust-borne, where anybody might inhale it or ingest it, and reducing what's called its biological availability, so that if plants were grown in it, they're less likely to uptake that lead out of the soil. So many reasons to be doing this on every different level. And we often refer to this food waste diversion pyramid that is developed by the Institute for Local Self-Reliance in terms of guidance of how we want to handle food waste. Because, right, well, if you look at this, the most important things we can do are source reduction and edible food rescue, right? There's a ton of food that's getting thrown away every day that is perfectly edible. Tina talked about some of the great endeavors that are already going on. Free food fridge. We have free food fridge. Albany has a free food fridge at the Radix Center that we're very honored to supply the electricity to. We work very closely with the Capital City Rescue Mission, who goes to supermarkets 3 days a week and picks up all of the food scraps, not food scraps, food that is about to get thrown out, not because it's gone bad, but they need to make room for new inventory coming in. So they give it away for free, but inevitably there's still a ton left over. So we go and we intercept that. We put the stuff that's still good enough out on a table for people to take. And the stuff that's rotten, that's no good to eat, gets fed to our chickens and ducks, who do an amazing job of rapidly reducing the volume of that food and upcycling those nutrients into eggs and chicken manure. The eggs get sold as part of our farm share, and the chicken manure gets composted. We treat the whole chicken run sort of like a compost pile, and we make some wood chips and hay and periodically dig it out and let that then turn into fantastic fertilizer that we use in our gardens. So really, I mean, and all of this is integrated into our educational programs. One of the most important things that I think for people, and particularly urban residents and particularly youth, to be able to understand is the fundamental difference between sustainable and non-sustainable cultures. Is that sustainable cultures return their waste to the soil, and in doing so are able to grow food on the same piece of land year after year for thousands of years and not have it result in the degradation of their soils. Non-sustainable cultures don't do that. They grow food, they take nutrients away, and they don't return them, and slowly transform forests into deserts. So which of those do we want to be? That's just the question we need to ask ourselves. So yeah, growing food, returning the waste into the soil, and in turn growing more food is some of the most important things that can be done. So just going back to this, right? So, right, getting food that's still edible into the hands of people, right, who are hungry, who need food. Number one, the best thing. Right below that, though, we see home composting and small-scale decentralized composting. We definitely prefer these over large-scale, industrial-scale composting operations. I'm a huge advocate of horizontally distributed and decentralized community-based composting initiatives, which Tina mentioned a lot. We do a lot of work around. Number one, encouraging composting at home. 2, having the free drop-off sites. And then 3, Radix has a compost collection, curbside collection service where people pay $15 for weekly curbside collection. We give people a 2.5 gallon container that they put out on their curbside, and we go around with an electric bicycle. This weekend, if everything goes according to plan, we're going to actually have an electric cargo tricycle that will be able to carry 700 pounds of food waste and be powered just by humans and by an electric battery. So really what it is an affordable electric vehicle, freight vehicle. And that's really the direction that we all need to be going in. A lot of business needs to be going in. Top speed of 25 miles an hour. But really, if you're just going around the city of Albany, you don't need to go faster than that anyway. And produces no tailpipe emissions, which is critical in neighborhoods like the South End and Arbor Hill, where you have populations of people with respiratory illnesses. So we want to do whatever we can to reduce exposure to particulate emissions. And I think electric bikes can be a big part of that. So that's just some work that we're doing. I would love for any of you to come and visit us. 153 Grand Street. And coming up, April 24th is South End Earth Day. We're really excited to be offering it again. We had to cancel the whole thing, unfortunately, last year because of COVID. We're not going to have the big party at Radix like we have in years past, but we are going to send crews of people out into gardens all throughout the South End to do cleanup and garden prep work there. So yeah, thank you all so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Scott. So we're just going to roll on to Jen Benson with Riverkeeper, and then we're going to rope back. And if anybody has questions for the presenters, we'll take them one at a time. So Jen Benson, thank you for coming from Riverkeeper.
Hi, everyone. I'm really grateful to be here today. It was wonderful to learn a little bit about a lot of the great work that's happening in Albany, listening into your meeting tonight. Just as a word of warning, I did get my vaccination today. So if I'm a little bit low energy, I'm really excited. But I think I just sound a little bit more flat than normal. It's been about 6 hours. And so I'm still sort of feeling a little funny. But yeah, very excited to be vaccinated. So my name is Jen Benson. I am the outreach coordinator at Riverkeeper. I manage our annual day of service called the Riverkeeper Sweep. And I'm going to tell all of you folks about Riverkeeper a little bit more generally, and then focus in on why we've worked for 10 years, including in the city of Albany and across the region, to combat the issue of marine debris. So I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to need someone to tell me if it.
Sure, Jen, go right ahead.
Let me see if it, hopefully it'll look okay. What does that look like to you, Zach?
Okay, it's loading up real quick here. It's starting. It says Jen Benson has started sharing screen. Okay, well, good. We see it. Riverkeeper, 50 years. Yep, 50 years on the Hudson.
There's a large boat. Okay, perfect. So we're in it. Okay, so as you folks probably know, being in Albany and very close to the upper limits of the tidal Hudson, the Hudson River is a tidal estuary, which means that ocean water comes up from the ocean, so it's salty, and we actually have things like seahorses in parts of it, and dolphins and things have been spotted in New York Harbor, and then down from the tributaries comes fresh water. So it's this really interesting, unique marine ecosystem environment. It's 315 miles in length from the highest source on Mount Marcy. The upper picture is of Lake Tier of the Clouds that I took back in, oh gosh, I think it was 2018. When I hit my 3-year anniversary, I thought at that point that that's a significant amount of time. I'm hitting 6 years this summer, so I don't know what I'll do for my 6th year. And about 5 million people live in the watershed. So between the Adirondacks and then the reaches out to the east and west that you can see in this map, we have a pretty large service area and a relatively small but mighty team serving this watershed. And so we really rely on our partnerships as well as our volunteers to make our work possible, and also to keep our eyes on what's happening in the watershed. So here's a quote from Hudson Valley Magazine. They named the river Mahinkatuck and called themselves the Mahikonek, the people of the waters that are never still. And so the original stewards of our area were Indigenous people, and Mahinkatuck is the Indigenous name for the Hudson River. And we find that this is a really important piece of history to share, because they were stewarding this region for thousands of years before the colonists, who are my ancestors, arrived here. So we can see an Atlantic sturgeon, which is one of the most well-known Hudson River species. They sort of look like dragons to me, but if you ask one of our scientists at Riverkeeper, they'll tell you it is in fact a fish. And then oysters, and oysters used to be a big market of farming and fishing in the Hudson River. And as you also know, and still persists to this day to a pretty significant extent, the Hudson River has a pretty industrial history, especially back pre-Clean Water Act. So way before the 1970s, when there were regulations around dumping, and there was a lot more rampant pollution in the history of the Hudson. And our organization began with fishermen. We were founded in Austining, New York by local fishermen and blue collar folks. These were not people that were ever going to go see the Grand Canyon or go to Paris, France. These were people that lived and worked and made their livelihood on the Hudson River. And so it was not only where they caught their fish to sell, but it was also the place where they sought solace and where they celebrated milestones with their families. And so our primary office is actually in Austining, remains in Austining today. And then we have a secondary office in Kingston, which is where I live, so a little bit closer to Albany. Our mission is to protect and restore the Hudson River from source to sea, safeguard drinking water supplies through advocacy rooted in community partnerships, science, and the law. Our methods: Riverkeeper works in a variety of capacities. We have a patrol boat, which some of you may have seen chugging by Albany. Our boat captain, John Lipscomb, patrols about 4,000 nautical miles a year. He starts at our home port in Austining, goes down to New York Harbor, patrols Newtown Creek and Gowanus Canal, turns back north and heads all the way up to the Federal Dam in Troy, at which point he turns east and then patrols the Mohawk River. So John is really our eyes and ears. He's the way a lot of our campaigns and cases come to us, just based on things that he sees and radios back to headquarters and lets us know that we should be looking into it. Or he is parked somewhere and someone's like, hey, did you see this? I took these pictures last week. And so from that work and the work on the boat, you can see the picture below it. We started a water quality monitoring program. So we take about, oh gosh, I think it's like 2,000 or 3,000 samples over the course of April to November. Some of the samples are taken from the boat itself as it patrols the main stem of the Hudson. And then we also sample on about 17 tributaries. So we have pretty extensive data on our website about both the main stem as well as many of the tributaries in terms of water quality. We sample for enterococcus, which is a fecal bacteria indicator used to indicate swimmability. So you can go onto our website and see where and when it's red and make a judgment on where you feel safe swimming and when, if you do. We also do a lot of community engagement, from tabling activities. You can see me teaching some Girl Scouts, to cleanups, to advocacy campaigns. The guy in the green shirt is, at that point, he was the outreach coordinator, and now he's our legislative affairs manager, Jeremy Cherson. We started 2 weeks apart, and he's at a rally that we organized to raise awareness about the ongoing PCB contamination prior to a public hearing. So we do everything from the protesting to the legal side to community engagement. We also have a watchdog line. So if community members see something that they're concerned about, they can submit pictures as well as other documentation, and we will do our best to investigate and help them contact agencies if necessary. So we have different programs at Riverkeeper. I was on a program staff position for the last 5 years. In the last 6 months, I've been moved to the development team. So our program teams are science, boat and habitat restoration, law/legal, and we have a staff of about 31 people. So it's a pretty big area for us, but that's how we work. The big question, right? Why do we clean up our rivers? If more trash is just going to get in there, like, why are we doing this? And I think that a big part of it is maintaining public space, A, public education, B, and also if we can educate people and engage them on cleanups, we can probably start to change their minds, right? So we can start to educate people about how turtles choke on single-use items, and little pits of plastic fill the stomachs of marine animals, both in our estuary, but also globally as well. And we know that the Hudson River ends in New York Harbor, which is the ocean. And so what we do here and the plastic that we may allow to enter a storm drain in Kingston or Albany could have an impact much beyond our shores here. So these are some pictures from the last couple of years of sweep. The middle one and the one on the left have masks. And so you can tell that was from our fall sweep. And then the photo on the right was from 2019. Marine debris by the numbers, there are about 5 grocery bags of plastic waste per linear foot of coastline in the world. We're also on track to double the amount of plastic discharged into our oceans by 2025, and are estimated to reach 1 pound of plastic for every 3 pounds of fish in the world's oceans by 2025 as well. And over 663 species have been documented to have ingested marine plastics. So really, some really big and probably semi-startling numbers, but I feel like the word is getting out on marine debris. Oh, there we go. Apparently I have that slide twice. Here is a really beautiful graphic from the Ocean Conservancy. They do an international cleanup day. It's called International Coastal Cleanup Day, and it takes place in September. So it's really interesting to be able to see global trends and see what sort of hits their top 10 and then be able to compare it to ours here at home in the Hudson River watershed. And we really do see strong correlations between their most commonly collected items and the ones that we see here. Just really highly predominant plastic beverage bottles, bottle caps, plastic cups, plates, Plastic grocery bags we'll hopefully see going down after enforcement for the plastic bag ban went into effect on October 18th, which was the day after our fall sweep. And then also food wrappers and cigarette butts are also really common and rank high in our numbers as well. So marine debris in the Hudson River estuary. Here are sweep statistics over the last 9 years. So we started small. Sweep began with humble beginnings back in 2012 or 2011. I'm sorry, because we're hitting 10 years this year. So we started with humble beginnings and we had about 400 volunteers in 2012. And since then we've started to collect much better data. So I don't even necessarily know if we have a coherent exact statistic for tons collected way back when, but over the years, we've really scaled up the program. We've started working with more municipalities and more local community groups and more individual sweep leader partners, and have really been able to grow the reach of sweep. However, this is a program where the best thing that it could do and the biggest success would for it to become obsolete, because there wouldn't be plastics plaguing our rivers and our tributaries and our oceans anymore. And so we have seen some projects convert from being cleanup projects to being tree planting projects, and then tree maintenance projects, and then not having projects anymore. So we have seen a little bit of that over 10 years at some particular project sites, but writ large, most of our projects need cleanups year after year. And some of them just also develop really good ethics of local stewardship. It sounds like there's a lot of really strong stewardship ethics in the city of Albany, with a lot of the initiatives that you guys were naming earlier that I was jotting down. And so it's been really wonderful to watch the program grow, and looking into our next 10 years, we're excited to see how we can better support communities in these efforts. So COVID-19 impacts on sweep. We postponed from our original date in May to October. Which then reduced the number of sweep leaders who were open to participating, which we totally understand. In contrast, it also had the opposite effect on volunteer interest. So volunteer interest skyrocketed to new highs that we had never seen before, while the number of projects that we were able to have did decrease. So in order to have a safe sweep in October, we developed mask and social distancing requirements, required pre-registration, particularly should contact tracing be necessary. Thankfully, we had full mask and social distancing compliance across 67 projects in October. So we're feeling pretty confident that we can do the same moving forward into May. And then we also provided sweep leaders with extra PPE, because that's very important to have. And we know at cleanups and tree plantings and those types of projects, things can get soiled and need to be replaced. So where do we sweep? We work in the Hudson River watershed and have projects from the hit it with my elbow, and have projects from the Adirondacks down to New York Harbor, which encompasses both areas east and west of the Hudson. I zoomed in a little bit more, but particularly I have this by region. So green, we consider Upper Hudson, purple, we consider Mid Hudson, orange, we consider Lower Hudson, and blue, we consider New York City. And so we do have more tributary sites on either sides of the river. They're just a little hard to see with the scrolling. So in 2019, which was our biggest sweep to date, we had 122 projects from Brooklyn up to Glens Falls, with 32 projects in New York City, 25 projects in Westchester, and then the vast majority elsewhere. So our concentration tends to be really heavy in Mid and really growing in the Upper Hudson region, as we refer to it. So the 10th annual Riverkeeper sweep, I almost said squeak, sweep is scheduled for Saturday, May 1st. We have 127 projects planned across 17 counties. We have 5 projects in Albany. Tina actually mentioned one of them. And then there is also one at Church Street Park, which is actually on Sunday and has like its max number of volunteers that it needs. So we would love for community members in Albany to join these projects. We have registration pages that folks can sign up As I mentioned a minute ago, we're really advocating for as many folks to sign up ahead of time as possible so we can be exchanging less paper, shuffling less paper and less pens in person and really maintain that social distance. So if folks are interested in learning more about Riverkeeper or the Riverkeeper Sweep, you can visit the Riverkeeper website, which is www.riverkeeper.org. And then if you want to get to the sweep specific section, you can throw a slash in there, put sweep at the end, and it'll take you right to the map and the full project list, the social distancing guidelines, really all of the things that you could possibly want to know how to get involved. My contact information is also here, so feel free to reach out that way as well.
Thank you very, very much, Jan. Appreciate that very much. Folks, if you have any questions, you can go to the reactions button and hit the raise your hand tool. Does anybody have any, or you can use your real hand if you have any questions for the presenters tonight.
I just want to say that the Riverkeeper has done a tremendous job, even going back 20 years, because I can remember when the river was so polluted you didn't even want to walk in it. 15 years ago, we were able to swim in it again. And I'm talking about the area down below Poughkeepsie. It was wonderful. But yeah, there's still people who, an empty beer can weighs more than a full one. It becomes very heavy and they can't carry it out.
There was some questions in the chat. Let's see here. Let's see, Maura McNulty, can these links be shared? Tina, did you share the links that I think that was referencing you?
Yeah, I shared our main sustainability website and our email address, so we can always send you more information, but we could send, we'll give Zach this PowerPoint, and I tried to put links all through the PowerPoint, so you can find what's of interest to you and go there. And you can also email us. Is that good, or is there a particular link you wanted?
I think it was from Maura. Is Maura still on here? Let's see here. Oh, Pat Maxson said, I could not understand Radix's first partner's name. Scott froze up.
Sorry, our first partner's name, you mean the organization that we partner with? Is that what that was referring to? I believe that was probably A Village. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I answered some of the other questions in the chat.
Okay. I think I think we're ready to move on. Thank you very much, Tina, Scott, and Jen. Thank you very much.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So let's go on to committee reports. John O'Grady, do you have a codes committee report? I think we have a meeting coming up with Rick LaJoy. Oh, I think you're muted. Oh, I think you're muted, John.
Hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, the meeting is next week. I believe it's the 14th. Forgot to have my book in front of me, but we'll have a report after that. We're meeting with Rick LaJoy as usual. Any questions, you can send an email to me.
Now, I know Louise McNeely, she had sent out a couple of mailers and she had a couple of announcements. Louise, did you want to make some announcements tonight?
Sure, thanks. Just quick, I'll put in the chat the links for this, but many of you participated in the home buyer fair in the past to promote your neighborhoods. This year it's going to be virtual, and it's this Saturday from 10 to 1, and folks just have to get on a website. So if you can share that with your neighbors who you think would like to own part of your neighborhood, that'd be great. We're also working hard on getting ahead of the foreclosure crisis that's looking pretty ominous for the end of June. So if you've got any neighbors who are struggling to pay their mortgage, the city of Albany, we do have some money to help them with that. And we've also got free, so they don't get scammed, we've got free HUD certified housing counselors and lawyers for energy efficiency programs. And we, same thing, Green Capital Region to take advantage of home energy assessments. And then I did want to let folks know that we've got a landlord workshop coming up. So if you've got landlords in your neighborhood that could use some advice and training, we have a great program on April 28th is the next one. Or if you know of folks who are interested in becoming landlords, we certainly need some more good ones. So send them our way. And I will put all this in the chat so folks don't have to remember. Thanks so much.
Let's see here. I know Gene Solon, I don't think he had a report tonight for Rezone Albany. Is there any new business to bring up, folks? Okay. All right. Oh, just want to mention, one of the officers was mentioning the illegal dirt bike issue. I'm going to be sending out this flyer. It's for April 15th. It's going to be a collaboration with the Uptown Neighborhood Cooperative and A Block at a Time with Danielle Hilly. We're going to be doing a panel discussion talking about the issue. It's going to be Lieutenant William Flack with the Albany Police Department, Common Council President Corey Ellis, County Legislator Andrew Joyce, Assembly Member John McDonald, and Assembly Member Pat Fahey. That'll be April 15th at 6 o'clock. Okay. Well, thank you very much. All right. So,
Zach,
what's that?
is that virtual?
Yes. Yes, it'll be virtual. Okay. So upcoming meetings we have in May 5th, we'll have Scott Jerzambek, the Executive Director of the Albany Public Library. We're going to have the budget presentation from the Albany City School District. And then we're going to have 98 Acres in Albany. It's a digital history project about the urban renewal project of constructing the Empire State Plaza.
Yes. You're gonna have a.
Oh, John, did you have a question? Oh, okay. And then in June, we're going to have Maria Markovics with, she's Housing for All. We're going to have Lenny, the Albany Police Athletic League, and then Catherine Costo. She is the Executive Director of the Albany County Historical Association in Tenbrook Mansion. And then also just a notable thing, Cana turns 45 years old next month. So it's going to be 45 years. And this, all right, so everything else site? Okay. All right, well, another good meeting. All right, we'll see you next month. Okay, everybody?
Thank you, Zach.
Have a great night.
Thanks, Zach.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Zach. Take care.